one's about gender. I use a word in this poem, cis, C-I-S. Some of you might not be familiar. So it's a word used in the trans and queer communities as a way of labelling non-trans people, because there's this thing that happens in our culture when we describe trans people. We say, oh, that's a trans woman or a trans man, as opposed to that person who just is a man or a real man, and that's a bit violent. So we use cis for non-trans too. It's called I Undress. The first time I met Victor, I called him sister, because I've been conditioned to notice a person's pair of breasts and trust that. They were nice tits. I like tits, just not on me, he says. Transsexuality. So I stopped addressing strangers so much like, hey bro, and sup sis. Started seeing people all around me a little differently. Began to find some forest amongst the trees. See, when someone questions the body they're in, it gets me thinking about mine. So I undress. I saw this documentary about intersex people. Now, you're intersex if you were born with ambiguous genitals, and most of these babies were carried away at birth before their mothers even got a chance to hold them, tied down to hospital beds, endured unmentionable things in honour of mighty binaries, and these panicked bubs returned to panicked mums with sometimes 50, 60 stitches down there. A mother claimed of a surgeon who explained, it's easier to dig a hole than it is to build a pole. So these intersex were designated women, and I can't believe this was deemed a necessary way to welcome a child into its first tender minutes. A lot of these adults now wish they'd been made men. Some lament they should have been consulted. Most agree they should have been left the fuck alone, but all of them are left wondering, why? Why did society convince itself my body is a muddled mess? Could it be that I disrupt what others claim it means to be? He or she. No room for in-betweens. It gets me thinking, about 1963, about civil rights, about James Baldwin. About semiology. 50 years ago last year, he said to a room full of teachers about being branded a nigger. If I refuse to be what you tell me I am, it means that you cannot be what you thought you were, and that is where the crisis is. I was joking with this cis guy about penis being a state of mind, and I noticed something disconnect as he pointed towards his junk. You're not making any sense, Fez. What if I told you I'm not a man or a woman? What if I said I was born human, clean slate, to be shown or shamed, shaped a certain way? If I want to deconstruct in order to disrupt and therefore destruct the status quo, what's it to ya? What is really at stake here, and what exactly are you holding on to? Me, I'm just beginning to let go. So I undress. It's like that time we celebrated Mardi Gras, remember? By dressing up as trannies. And then I got called on my shit because that word's got a history of tyranny. That experience has got a history of tyranny. Tranny. Some violent shit right there, boy, wielded by this society to keep different women in place, keep them victimised like atypical specimens of bodily anomalies, as if fitting inside the moulds not only possible but the only way. We got our makeup did and we had a good laugh, and whatever the trial or tribulation, we just shed that shit later because we could go home when we wanted to. But some people are homeless, even inside their own bodies. It seemed benign at the time, but my friend, we stirred a world of pain like, what if I'd gotten dressed up as someone of another culture, a more oppressed colour? One enough to kill Trayvon Martin and simply liberate his killer? And should we liberate all men who kill to guard their neighbours' homes, or are those dwellings built upon something more palpable than stone? Like maybe it's more than daisies thriving upon blood and bone. It was privilege that pulled that trigger. Zimmerman's a drone. And I'm starting to see it everywhere, all over this first world body, so I undress. Privilege is something you don't always notice if you have it. Privilege is why white people won't describe themselves as ethnic, or men are not gendered, or straight people lack orientation. It's fraud and visibility. Like, how do you aim a Molotov at a target you can't see? Now, I may not know much, man, and the more I learn, the less I really know, but I do know you and I were born naked, and the rest, such a drag, bro. Thanks. How we going? We all right? Yeah. All right. Don't be scared to. I know it's hard being first. You know, relax, chill out. Feel free to go woo, or like click or clap or anything. Just express yourselves too. You know, because it's a bit of a daunting format we got here. You know. All right. So this is a rant that I wrote recently. This has been a thing in social media lately, and it got me thinking, about it's addressed at male privilege. It's called "Sorry, I Have a Boyfriend." It's not backing off until she says, "I have a boyfriend," because her word is not enough. Her desire don't count as much as that of a fellow man. It's walking down the street with a shield inside you, fortifying yourself at the front door. The howls and the whistles make a moving cactus out of me. It's treating a nice guy like shit for saying hi at the lights, just because his words followed the wolf whistles of 3 other, less good guys in about as many blocks. It's defending women because they could be someone's sister, someone's mother, someone's daughter, because the someone in that sentence is always male-gendered, because men are somebodies and women are nobodies, unless, of course, they are somebody's daughter, mother, or sister. It's your proximity to penis that allows you to matter. Shits me. It's avoiding one of your best mates because they've started dating your ex-girlfriend, as if her choices are not her own, she's just a possession to be plundered. She was yours, now she's his, right? And that's kind of humiliating, right? It's like when my tia Valeska and my mum and me lamented the rape and murder of Jill Ma. And mum said it was such a tragic thing to happen to a woman so pretty. Like, she'd matter less if she had no front teeth. She'd have suffered less if she walked with a limp, bled less if her face were less symmetrical. I used to say sometimes, sorry, I'm gay. Like, it's not just you, it's your sex, till I realised the message there is otherwise okay. Gone are those days. I will not cushion your ego when it gets all up in my face, your desire in my space. Yesterday, I saw a mum and her son waiting for a train. She spoke to her child with all kinds of inflection. Oh, really? That's really good idea, isn't it? And her voice struck me as tender and bendy with nurture, like water around torn roots provides an all-encompassing suture. Her sentence bounced around, down and out her mouth, kind of like a bowling ball bouncing off the edges of those bumpers, you know, bumper bowling for kids. They got to learn gently. Her cushioned sounds cushioned her thoughts, softened the world. That's important, I thought. He couldn't have been more than 5 years old. We need to believe in ourselves before going out into the world and impressing upon it. Soon he'll grow up, not need the support of those bumpers anymore. Well, I got a new message for you now, male privilege. You are not a child. I am not your mother. No, I'm not taken, and yes, Sometimes I'm a lesbian, but today you've got to recognise I'm just not that into you. That it's not me, it's you. I'm done walking on eggshells around you because I'm fragile too, even though it's quite clear I'm better equipped at handling the truth. I'm not into you and I'm not affording you an excuse because my word is bond, like 007 answers to no one. Not no because, not no in case, no, not it, not no, but not no if, no when, just no, and I'm not sorry for it, no.